At the beginning of the chapter, we were shown a cover of the Straw Hat Crew. They were having a party because of something. To be precise, the party was celebrating the 25th anniversary of One Piece. The title of the party is called Sea of Liberty or Sea of Freedom. So, is there any other purpose for this cover page? We don't think there are any important points shown in this picture. But even so, there are still words that must be underlined, namely the Sea of Liberty. But here we cannot be sure what the meaning of this word. The story of this chapter is still continuing yesterday's chapter. First, it started with Kaido thinking that he had already guessed that Luffy was dead. Luffy laughed out loud, answered indeed he also thought so. But the important point here is that Kaido underlines that the awakening of the devil fruit power from him is a good paramecia. However, this is beyond reason because such shape changes are usually included in the zone type. While Kaido continues to be confused about what happened to his opponent, Luffy instead relaxes floating in the air and plays around without paying attention to his opponent. Because of the boredom that was done in front of him, the impatient Kaido immediately took action to eat and crush Luffy, who was playing. When affected by the bite, Luffy, who was bullied, felt angry and tried to escape from the bite. However, even though he had been bitten, Luffy still didn't fight back and allowed himself to be eaten. As a result of his behavior, Kaido seems to have the upper hand because he can easily see it. But that's where the disaster started. Where surprisingly Luffy actually plays in Kaido's body by moving zigzag. Not only that, just moving Luffy enlarges his body into a big ball so that Kaido is in pain from the inside, as if in his body he is playing slides without any disturbance. Due to the movement that was so absurd, Kaido couldn't do anything but could only endure the intense pain. Meanwhile, not far from there, Yamato and Momo, who had reached the top, were surprised by Kaido, who was so ridiculous, it was like an eel eating a Beckel ball. Of course they were so confused about what happened in this fight. But the most surprised here is Kaido himself. He feels his body is becoming rubber now. Luffy's silliness doesn't just stop. He also does things that are beyond logic again, where he does the same as during the Skype arc. He tries to get out of the giant snake's body through his eyes. In the same condition he did it again. The difference is that Luffy's hand can pierce those eyes until it holds his nose. Somehow this can happen. One thing is for sure, the rubber. Again we are seeing the silliness of him again, where with his big body he launched into the sky full of clouds. Of course, Kaido and Momonosuke, who saw the strangeness of his power again, were confused about what to do next. Well, at that time, lightning storms were shown repeatedly. After looking in more detail, it turns out that Luffy is using his new kick. This time Luffy uses the Gomu Gomu no Gigan kick, where he turns into a giant like the sun god. Obviously seeing Luffy like that makes Kaido feel confused, but there is a big gap there. Kaido can bite Luffy freely. The funny thing is that Luffy is stupid and doesn't dodge, and as a result he is bitten by Kaido. Feeling tortured like that, Luffy immediately played Kaido like an eel and slammed Kaido with a very fast spin. But before landing on the ground, Luffy was actually hit by a blast breath from Kaido from close range, so Luffy was hit by the fire until he bounced away from Onigashima. As a result he became burnt, accepting the fire without any defense. Even though it was made that way, Luffy used another ridiculous move to get to Onigashima. What he did was run like supersonic with red smoke behind him. From a distance Kaido immediately took a position to attack Luffy with a landslide, and with that stance he managed to hit Luffy's head until it penetrated to the floor below. The funny thing is that Luffy's face that is displayed is very funny and makes everyone below very surprised. Not only them, Law, Kid Chopper and Atama are surprised by what happened to Luffy. Above, Kaido said it was like something out of a children's picture book. That's why he complimented Luffy that he had shown an interesting power that he had not met so far. However, all of this was over after he found out that Luffy was exhausted. It was already seen from Luffy, who was lying limp near the rock. When Luffy was in a weak state, suddenly his hair color began to turn black and his body began to shrink like rubber that had been burned. Luffy said he was just tired. Kaido replied, what kind of human he is, why is he still trying so hard? Although now Kaido looks superior, but still he is tired after fighting for so long. So here he is starting to look like he is reaching his limit. It was only then that it was revealed that Luffy's awakening power weighed heavily on him. This means that his strength only lasts a short time. After a few seconds, Luffy saw something strange about himself, where his stamina started to return to normal after his heartbeat made a loud sound, dum dum dum. And this is the sound that Zenisha has heard, namely the drum of liberation. Then after his stamina risen, Luffy laughed out loud again while remembering the sacrifices of his friends so that he could reach this place. Once again directly attacked Luffy with the Kanabo right on the back of his head. And as usual, Luffy's silliness is seen again, namely he looks in pain, but in a very strange form. But that's where Luffy got to attack in a very different way. Now he jumped to the aid like a frog and got ready to attack Kaido very quickly. The attack launched by this time was very brutal, hitting Kaido in a landslide. Interestingly, the attack is not an ordinary blow, but is coated with armament haki, conqueror haki, and can affect objects around it. As if his fighting style is very free and not at all logic. The end of the panel shows that the deadly blow hit Kaido's head until it pierced his back of the skull. So from this panel we can conclude that Luffy can penetrate solid objects with his awakening power.